From an anarchist perspective, charity is often viewed as a flawed and counterproductive response to the systemic issues that cause poverty, inequality, and injustice. While charity may provide some relief to individuals or communities suffering from these problems, it fails to address the root causes of these issues and can, in some cases, reinforce the very systems of oppression and exploitation that create them. We anarchists argue that charity functions primarily as a temporary fix rather than a structural solution. Charity focuses on alleviating the symptoms of social problems such as hunger, homelessness, or lack of health care without addressing the underlying causes such as capitalism or the state. The structural inequalities in society are not solved by handouts or volunteerism, they are perpetuated by a system that extracts resources from the majority of people for the benefit of a privileged few. Charity can therefore be seen as a way for the state and the rich to absolve themselves of responsibility, allowing the systems of exploitation to continue unabated. Charity often reinforces the hierarchical dynamics between the giver and the receiver. In the typical charity model, the giver holds power and the recipient is positioned as passive, dependent, and in need of assistance. This dynamic can perpetuate the notion of so-called benevolent inequality, where the rich or powerful are seen as gracious benefactors while the poor remain dependent on their charity. We anarchists believe in dismantling these power structures, not perpetuating them, and we emphasize mutual aid and solidarity, which are based on principles of equality and cooperation rather than charity and patronage. We anarchists are critical of the idea that charity is inherently giving or helpful. In many cases, charity can serve the interests of the rich or powerful by maintaining the status quo. By donating to a charitable organisation, individuals or corporations can supposedly do good without challenging the structural inequalities that benefit them. Charity can therefore become a form of feel-good activism that allows people to assuage their guilt about inequality without ever questioning the systems that create and sustain it. The practice of charitable giving often allows the rich to maintain their privileges without having to confront the systemic issues that underlie poverty and injustice. Another concern among us anarchists is that charity can co-opt and neutralize more radical movements for social change. Instead of supporting direct action, revolt, mutual aid, or revolutionary organizing, people may be encouraged to donate money or time to a charity, which often operates within the bounds of the system rather than challenging it. Charitable organizations are frequently structured in ways that are hierarchical and bureaucratic, which can lead to the dilution of radical goals and the depoliticization of struggles for justice. We argue that true social change requires a dismantling of existing power structures, not just a redistribution of resources within them. In contrast to charity, we promote the concept of mutual aid, which is grounded in solidarity and horizontal relationships. Mutual aid networks are based on the idea that people can and should support one another without hierarchical or paternalistic structures. Rather than charity, which often emphasizes the disparity between donor and recipient, mutual aid recognizes that everyone has something to contribute and that collective action is necessary to meet the needs of all members of a community. Mutual aid encourages the building of relationships based on reciprocity and shared responsibility rather than dependence and inequality. We anarchists also notice the way that charity often works in tandem with the state to maintain social control. While charities are framed as independent from the state, they can be co-opted by government agendas, particularly in neoliberal contexts. An anarchist critique of charity is not a condemnation of acts of kindness or community support, but rather a call for more profound and radical forms of solidarity. Instead of relying on charity, we anarchists advocate for a transformative approach to social justice, one that seeks to abolish the conditions that necessitate charity in the first place. This means confronting systemic inequality, dismantling oppressive institutions, and building relationships of mutual aid, direct action, and revolt that empower individuals and communities to address their own needs without relying on the goodwill or patronage of others. Charity is a limited, often paternalistic response to deeper structural issues, whereas we anarchists seek to build a world based on equality, autonomy, and mutual aid, where solidarity replaces charity as the foundation of social relations. Thank you for listening, everyone. All the best.